national elections. Let's bring in our panel to discuss what we're seeing in the brand new poll numbers. Patrick Ruffini, partner and co-founder of Echelon Insights, a next-generation polling, analytics, and intelligence firm, with us today. And also John Schweppe, director of policy for the American Principles Project, co-author also of the groundbreaking 2020 report, Protecting Free Speech and Defending Kids. Gotta love that. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks for having us.
All right, great to have you both. So Biden's talking Bidenomics, billions for Amtrak today in Newcastle, Delaware. He just wrapped up his talk, as we see here. He likes to say he's Union Joe. We know that, except every policy happens to be hurting hardworking Americans. I want to talk to you first, Patrick, about your article, The Emerging Working Class Republican Majority. And you really hit at it, saying this was not a one-off, that, you know, the hardworking Americans brought Trump to the presidency in 2016. And, you know, you have to wonder now with some of the poll numbers here, it's not just working class, but we're talking people that were traditionally Democratic, just Latino, black voters saying we don't want another 4 years of Biden.
I mean, it is astounding, especially this latest set of poll numbers where you have Trump up to 20%, 22% of black voters. He is within 8% with Hispanic voters. I mean, these are just numbers that we have really never before seen for a Republican in the modern era. And even, you know, if he is matched up against, if Joe Biden is not the Democratic nominee, if it's Kamala Harris, he still gets 20% of the black vote. So I think that we are seeing something fundamentally different than what we've seen in the last several presidential election cycles, and indeed the last several decades. Is that what you're having is it's not just, you know, kind of white working class union members in the Midwest that have changed their allegiances. You're now seeing just much more diverse communities changing, and they're changing on the same issues, on the same basis as you know, the way Trump realigned the electorate in 2016.
Yes, incredible. And it's all a boon for Trump, who, as we've been covering, is inside a courtroom right now being admonished by a judge. And Americans seem to not see right through all this. John, what's your take, though? So we see the Biden administration talking about things like, you know, infrastructure today and Amtrak getting billions of dollars, saying it's very important for, you know, Americans. But the real heart of it is Americans definitely, not only do they not feel like their money's going anywhere because the dollar is worth less, they don't feel safe at home. And also, you know, they keep going after these MAGA Republicans here because that's what their attack is. And is that going to be a critical mistake for the Biden reelection campaign?
Well, I certainly hope so, but I think there's a lot to it. You know, Patrick's article really went into the details of it, but this is something that's been emerging over time, partly because Republicans are starting to take advantage of the opportunity, and partly because the Democrats, for whatever reason, just seem to be focused on, you know, the Acela corridor and you know, elite liberals. And unfortunately, that's not really a 50% plus one coalition for them long term. And so I think as long as Republicans continue to speak in a populist way, as Donald Trump has done since he came down the escalator, I think it's a huge opportunity for them, especially with a lot of these working class blacks and Hispanics.
Yeah, and you know, right now you see we're a year away, so this is where we're at. You know, and your article also delves into sort of, you know, it's not a one-off, where we are looking forward to 2024. But if you look at history too, Patrick, you know, I just wonder if there's any similarities too with Reagan and all those working Democrats that really galvanized it, took some of the Democrats by surprise too.
I absolutely agree. And you really look at these trends, they've been happening for 60 years or more. I mean, you go all the way back to Richard Nixon and the silent majority. And you have, you know, you really have these trends that have been happening for a really long time. And, you know, Trump supercharged it. Trump took it forward. But the wind was really at his back in terms of this populist realignment that we're seeing. It's also true of, everybody said, you know, Hispanics could never be Republicans. Black voters could never be Republicans. You know, they said the same thing about white Catholics and immigrants who came to this country. And now those groups are Republicans.
Well, I'm a Mexican-American. My family immigrated. My dad came over when he was 6 years old. And I think there's a lot of folks who came here legally who are seeing our wide open border, and it makes them very angry as well. And I have about 30 seconds left. But also, John, I'll give you the final thought here. People are concerned about the border, and now we have this war in Israel. There's concerns about people in our own homeland who are coming across who maybe want to do us harm, and that's something too that the Biden, in addition to all of the economic numbers, it's something new that they have to contend with. That's happened, and the world changed after October 7th.
Yeah, and also let's not forget Republicans are figuring out how to talk about the culture war. We still got to improve on abortion, but some of these other issues are big winners for us if we talk about it the right way and hit, hold the Democrats accountable.
Yes, the messaging. Patrick and John, great to have you both in. Really enjoyed the conversation.